Paul, I think there's another package coming by Monday. I think there's another one of those packages coming by Monday.
Welcome to the Advocate and Times-Picayune Town Hall. I'm Peter Kovacs. I'm the editor of the Advocate and the Times-Picayune, and we're here today with Congressman Garret Graves, who represents the Baton Rouge area. And we are sitting 6 feet apart. We are complying with all the rules. There are only 4 people in the room, so I think we are compliant with all the rules, and we have hand sanitizer here. So we appreciate you coming by today, and mostly we're going to answer questions from you, our readers, about the coronavirus crisis and about all of the programs that are designed to alleviate the economic harm from it. But I thought maybe you could tell us what's going on in Congress. I don't know how often you actually get to go to Congress.
Yeah. I've been going generally every week or every other week, headed back up to Washington. But Peter, I want to thank you and the Advocate and Times-Picayune for the opportunity to join you today and to be able to answer questions from folks across South Louisiana. So far, we have passed or enacted 4 different bills that are really focused on people, trying to focus on the fact that this is a pandemic. It's not like a hurricane that's just affecting one region of our nation, but truly something that's affecting every American citizen across this country. And so the 4 bills we've done have focused on tax relief, on economic recovery payments, on paycheck protections, on unemployment assistance, and of course on research development for treatment for cures and vaccines related to the coronavirus. We're all aware that there's obviously a next step that's needed, and that one is looking at long-term recovery, which I think will likely be the next piece of legislation we work on.
What does that mean when you say looking at long-term recovery?
Well, so Peter, if you look at what we've done so far, we've again, whether it's the tax economic impact or relief payments or the loan programs, they're really designed to be a shot in the arm or a lifeline. Whereas if you look at what's needed long-term, considering where we are with unemployment and economic decline, we're going to need a longer-term recovery package, but we need to make sure that it focuses specifically on the families, the individuals, and the sectors that need it, as opposed to taking more of the blunt or shotgun approach that puts trillions and trillions of dollars out there on the markets. And so as opposed to doing sort of the acute shot in the arm, it's looking at a longer-term burn rate or longer-term investments just to help revitalize the economy. One area that's been discussed is making principled investments in infrastructure. And I will tell you, if we can get a new bridge funded here, it'll lift the spirits, and of course it would result in employing a lot of folks. But other things like looking at how the restoration of coastal Louisiana could play a role in long-term recovery here in our state.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Well, I don't think this was how we meant to accomplish it, but we have diminished Baton Rouge's traffic problem in the past month.
Yes, but I will note, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, and I want to commend the folks with the city parish as well as the state. They are taking advantage of the decline in traffic by actually making investments in our roads right now, which of course is much less impactful in terms of traffic. I saw Perkins Road the other day. They had the turn lane and 2 of the 4 lanes blocked off while they were doing repairs and work, and that's the kind of thing we need to be doing right now.
Yeah, okay, well, good for them. Well, let's get to your questions. This one comes from Gregory of New Roads, and he says, why are Louisiana seniors taking so long to get their stimulus checks from the IRS? Do we need to move to Texas or New York? I guess I don't understand the second half of the question.
Sure. So Greg, it's a great question, and a few different things. Number one, what's happened is that the IRS, the Treasury, is trying to focus on the lowest income folks first. And so those that have the lowest adjusted gross income, presumably as some measure over those who need it most. And so those are the top priority folks. Number two, while initially we were told that seniors and those on SSI were going to be the top priority, there was a little bit of lag in data exchange, the information exchange between the Social Security Administration and the IRS on getting that data over to where they could make the deposits into your account. So as I understand, that has been resolved. I know that over 90 million checks have been issued and deposited already. And so an extraordinary amount of progress considering our nation is, just perhaps 3 to 4 times that number. So they're making a lot of progress, and I do know that that data exchange has been made, including with the VA as well, for our veterans, and so they are making progress on that. I'm not sure about the reference to Texas and New York, because I believe that they're doing a uniform approach.
Okay, I was wondering if you understood what that was a reference to. David of Baton Rouge says, why hasn't Congress been more proactive in the production of COVID-19 tests? I'm referring to production, not funding. Why hasn't Congress urged the President to use the Defense Production Act to command the production of more much-needed tests?
Yeah, David, another important point. I think that the testing has certainly been one of the biggest deficiencies that has required us to pivot. Instead of putting quarantining and treating those who actually have coronavirus, you're putting many more restrictions on the general public, which of course causes bigger impact to the economy and just inconvenient. And so you raise a really good point. But I do think that we need to put things in perspective a little bit. Number one, keep in mind that dating back to January or even February, this virus was very much relegated to the corner. It was not something that was really on the global radar. And so not many people were paying attention to it. We still had Mardi Gras festivities and other things here because folks were not aware or really cognizant of the threat that it posed. When folks became aware, there was a rapid evolution in terms of developing testing and treatment measures and others. And when you look at the fact that the United States, not the most populated country in the world, we have done more testing than anywhere else in the world, I think it is relative. I agree with you, David, 100% that it is probably the biggest weakness in the overall response mechanism that you're seeing right now. But I think one metric is that we have tested more people than any other country in the world. We've been very public about our testing and our data, meaning not hiding the numbers or trends or statistics. But I do think that this was an opportunity for a lot of our pharmaceutical companies, researchers, to step up more than they did earlier on. And this is going to have to be one of those things that we go through and thoroughly investigate or scrutinize to make sure that we apply lessons learned for the future. We are seeing a surge of tests, including the antibody testing that are now coming online, including facilities right here in Baton Rouge offering those. And so things are improving, but we did set the funding aside, and we were working directly with, and I actually met with CEOs from the major pharmaceutical companies, talking to them about their capabilities. You are seeing Defense Production Act being used for some treatment mechanisms where there were special deficits or needs in terms of equipment.
Okay. Colleen from Baton Rouge says, what assistance is in store following the reopening of the state for those who are elderly or who have underlying health issues?
So Colleen, first, I am hopeful that we're able to get the state opened, or at least pockets of the state opened, as quickly as possible. Number two, so first of all, you have the $1,200 economic impact or economic relief payment coming from the IRS. If you're married, then that potentially could be $2,400. Depending on whether you're working or not, there are a number of programs that are out there offering assistance to where you can continue receiving a paycheck either through your employer or through or directly through the unemployment assistance directly from the Louisiana Workforce Commission. In addition to that, there are numerous programs that are offering food deliveries and other things for the elderly. Some of those are federally funded, but in addition to that, we have seen an extraordinary spirit of hospitality, generosity coming out of our citizens right here in South Louisiana, Baton Rouge, among other communities, where folks are stepping up and cooking meals for complete strangers and delivering them. I just want to urge you, if you have a specific need that is not met, feel free to reach out to our office, and we'll see if we can connect you with the resources that you need, whether it's food, healthcare, or other services.
Tell us what happens. I've asked this question of other representatives. When you say call our office, what does your office look like?
Yeah,
If you call your office, how does it actually work?
Well, of course, we have 3 offices in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge, in Livingston, and in Thibodaux. We have all of our phones that are being rolled, and they are actually being distributed out to the cell phones of our employees. Everyone is now equipped with either an iPad, a Surface, or a laptop, and so folks have the capability to work remotely. And of course, everybody has their issue areas where they're responsible for those issues. And so if someone calls about a SBA loan, there are 2 people that are specialists in that area that help out. We do a lot of email, a lot of conference calls and Zoom meetings, but basically we try to go through and respond to every single phone call, email that comes through and try and connect them with the answers or with the federal services that they're looking for.
So literally during business hours, an actual human being would answer the call if someone called your office, unless all the human beings were on another call.
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And there are, and just to be clear, there are some rare exceptions, like, for example, if everyone is on a call where it will go to a voicemail system, but at that point, those people are called back. And I'd say our rate is over 99%. Every once in a while, something happens with a call, but over 99%, we're definitely calling back.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. Cassie from Baton Rouge says, will you push for voting by mail in the next stimulus funding package? And if not, why not?
Well, first of all, voting by mail is something we've been doing in Louisiana for years and years. I've done it myself when I wasn't in town on voting days. So that is something that is available. And so Cassie, just so if you're not aware, fully appreciate sort of where the tension's coming from. There have been states that have been more aggressive in terms of offering voting remotely, meaning people aren't physically present. And there have been some anomalies, or I'll just say some strange situations that have occurred where, for example, in California,